Hello one and all, welcome to Seeing Through Glass. Welcome to the latest adventure in my Ferrari 360. If you're new to this channel, I bought my 360 4 years ago. This year, the car turns 20 years old, which means Ferrari now recognises it as a classic. So to celebrate such a significant birthday, I'm determined to tick over 50,000 miles on the mileometer of my car. At the start of this journey, it had just under 43,000 miles, so we've got some work to do. But this is a particularly big journey. I'm heading to Tenerife, one of Spain's Canary Islands, just off the coast of Africa. Yesterday I had a very boring day. I drove from London here to Bilbao. It's about 15 hours door to door, 850 odd miles. But yeah, just very dull French motorways. Not a lot happened. The weather wasn't great, there was bad traffic, a lot of roadworks, and yeah, nothing really to see. Hopefully though, today's going to be a lot better because I'm headed even further south through Spain to a little portside town called Huelva, where I'm then going to be boarding a 36-hour ferry to Tenerife. Like I mentioned, it's a big adventure. Now, those of you that know me well will know that I'm not exactly the biggest fan of boats and the ocean, hence why I drove to Bilbao rather than getting the ferry from the UK. So yeah, the thought of a 36-hour ferry crossing doesn't exactly fill me with joy. I was supposed to be getting the ferry tonight, but then yesterday I got an email from the ferry company saying due to operational issues, I'm now going to be departing tomorrow morning. Operational issues, I was like, well, we're going to sink. That definitely means a broken boat, we're gonna sink. So yeah, anxiety level's pretty high. But what it does mean is I've got a bit more time to explore mainland Spain before I have to get the ferry tomorrow, and I'm gonna be passing through some of the best driving areas of mainland Spain. So yeah, it's gonna be a good day. It's gonna be a hot day. On the news this morning, they were warning of temperatures around 41 degrees Celsius, hence the shorts. Don't worry, I've got plenty of sun cream on. Now, as boring as yesterday's drive was, it was quite impressive in terms of this car's MPG. I worked out on the drive from London to Bilbao, I was averaging around 70 miles an hour and doing 24 to 25 MPG. That's better than my RS6. I think for a 20-year-old mid-engine V8 Ferrari, that's pretty damn impressive. Once again proving my theory, the 360 is a pretty damn good Grand Tourer. Look at this legend! That's an SL600, the V12, total boss. Oh, and his wife's door's open. I knew today was going to be good. It's just so much more exciting than yesterday because look at this. I have no idea where I am, by the way. I'm south of Madrid somewhere. Google Maps has said turn off the motorway and take this road, which, as far as I can tell, is a completely abandoned, dead straight road. I stopped and I've been sitting here for about 5 or 10 minutes just to check if it's as abandoned as I think. It's windy. It's very windy. But yeah, I haven't seen another soul for literally the last 5 or 10 minutes. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the car in the middle of the road and take some photos because I'm getting major kind of outrun vibes. Bit of a throwback to a classic video game. Okay, it's not a Testarossa, it's my 360, but it's still a red Ferrari. I think, yeah, in the middle of this road with it stretching out in front, it's going to look absolutely mad. I'm about 20 minutes away from where I think is going to be quite a good lunch spot, but I am running a little bit behind on my timings. It's coming up to 2 o'clock, and I think lots of Spain sort of switches off for siestas around 2, so I may miss lunch, but yeah, scenery like this, I don't really care. so freaking cool. And yeah, just no one around. Absolutely mad. Anyway, the temptation right now is to turn traction control off and try and do some kind of fat burnout, but I'm actually quite low on tread when it comes to my rear tyres, and I still have around 1,500 miles, if not more, to go on this trip. With all these super high temperatures, you can probably see I'm very red already just from being outside for 2 minutes. I'm gonna play it safe rather than sorry. Things would go very wrong very quickly if I got a blowout on this trip, so can have fun other ways. Hola, Spain! Well, welcome to the Windmills of Consuegra. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, but I somehow doubt that I am. I have to say a huge thanks to Martin, one of my Instagram followers, for tipping me off about this place. It truly is picture perfect. I'm going to be up here for the next few hours just getting Instagram content. It's that good. These windmills became famous back in the 17th century when the book Don Quixote came out. Now, if like me you don't really read books, you might not have heard of Don Quixote, but I do feel like most people around the world have heard of that book because, well, it's one of the most famous books ever written. And in one of the chapters, Don Quixote tries to fight some windmills. Sounds a bit weird, read the book, but essentially these are supposed to be the windmills, or at least very similar ones. So fans of the book and people from all around the world come to visit them. They are super impressive, and the thing is, they were working windmills right up until the 1980s. Farmers from the local area would have to bring huge bags of grain, 50, 60 kilo bags, all the way to the top of this hill, then to the top of the windmills to get the grain ground down. I guess back in the day they would have been servicing that big old castillo, the castle at the bottom of the road. They're super cool to see, and as I predicted, I've got here during siesta time, which means that I'm gonna have to find somewhere else to get some lunch. But just like the road I was on a second ago, the place is abandoned. I've got it all to myself, which for Instagram and YouTube is fantastic. Wow, it is hot out there. My God. Now, I know I said that yesterday's drive was long and boring and that today would be better. Well, today is definitely better, but it's still a long day. I left the hotel at 8 AM. It's now 3:20 and I've got 4 hours and 20 minutes to my next destination, which is then still a couple of hours from my hotel. I'm having a really good time. It just does take a long time to get to the south of Spain from the UK, especially when you're stopping and seeing great sights and making cool content. So yeah, so definitely not complaining, going with the flow, but the longer stretches are still a tiny bit dull. Now, it's actually quite rare for me to ever complain about a long distance drive, but as you're going to see, this particular trip had its ways of testing me, and I think just then you were starting to see signs of that. That day I had definitely underestimated just how intense and energy sapping 40-degree heat is. I had planned to go to some good driving roads near my hotel after the windmills, but a few hours of motorway driving later and I was feeling super sleepy. I also started thinking what the temperatures might be doing to the car and didn't really want to risk a tyre blowout or overheating an already pretty hot running engine. So long story short, I thought the best thing to do was play it safe, head to my hotel and get some rest, ready for the early ferry the next day, especially because there's going to be plenty of exciting driving in Tenerife. Well, good morning everybody. Welcome to the port of Huelva, where I'm going to be boarding my ferry to Tenerife. Haven't had any coffee yet. Feeling a little bit groggy. so groggy that I actually struggled to find this port. I was driving around this kind of industrial area for ages being like, where am I going? And took a few wrong turns, and it is well signposted, but yeah, I think I was just half asleep. Anyway, I've now arrived and I've joined a queue of other cars that are going to be headed to the Canary Islands. The ferry doesn't just stop in Tenerife, it stops on other islands as well. I think Tenerife is the second stop, and I'm assuming it goes on from there. Well, this is turning out to be a proper adventure. Let me think. I think I last spoke to you at about 6:20 in the queue to board the ferry, which I thought would be departing at 8 a.m. As maybe you could tell from the footage, which all got very light very quickly, we didn't board at 8 a.m. I don't think we boarded the ferry until just after 9. Endless queues, lots of delays. I didn't really know what was going on. Then to get on the ferry, there was this ramp, like near vertical and very narrow ramp, which I 100% scraped the underside of my car on. I do not know how I'm going to get down that ramp at the other end of this journey. I've got so much anxiety about it. And on top of that, my car's parked outside for the entirety of this journey. Is that normal? I mean, I don't think sea spray is particularly good for car. I gotta let it go. That's what it is. What it is. Anyway, then I got here to my room, and actually I had a nap. I've been so tired from the drive over the last couple of days, all that heat yesterday, and then the early start this morning. I was like, let's gonna have a little lie down. I'll wake up. We'll be underway. I get some shots of the waves splashing, things like that. So I woke up, went outside. We haven't left the port. We're not underway at all. We're still here. I was like, what's going on? Apparently the government or the army requested to use this crossing to ship a load of personnel and equipment, and no one really knows where the personnel or the equipment is. Apparently some of it's here, but some of it's not. And well, yeah, I mean, it's 11:45 now. Haven't gone anywhere. So yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna go and hang around up on the bridge or the deck, enjoy the fresh air, and fingers crossed at some point we're actually going to make our way towards Tenerife. I can't quite believe I'm saying it, but we are finally moving. Finally moving! It's 1 o'clock, so 6 hours later than not even originally planned, actually 13 hours later than originally planned, but 6 hours after. I'm losing track, I don't care. We're moving, that's all I care about. The excitement levels are returning. They're not fully replenished, but I'm feeling a bit of a buzz again. I also feel like I need to go inside and put some sun cream on. Now, I'm sure at this point you're probably wondering why I'm making so much effort to get to Tenerife. Back in 2016, I visited Tenerife for the first and only time. It was with McLaren for the launch of their 570 GT. And whilst we were there, some of the McLaren team told us that if you wake up really early and drive up the side of Mount Tidy, Tenerife's volcano, you can get above the clouds for sunrise, and the views are amazing. That sounded like too good an opportunity to miss, so myself and fellow YouTuber Seb Delaney did just that. We woke up super early, drove up the side of this volcano, and we were blown away not only by the sunrise, but the road itself, the scenery, the views. It's still one of my all-time favourite automotive memories, and it's what led me to eventually buying a McLaren 540C. It was that good an experience, and I've been desperate to kind of recreate it or re-experience it, but I've just never really been able to find the time, because it takes 4 days to get there, then you've got to spend a couple of days on the island itself, and then 4 days to get back. It's a 10-day round trip, and yeah, that just hasn't really been possible. I wanted to go during Drive the World, my big round the world trip, but again, it's a huge chunk of time for one road. But this year, as the world is slowly opening up once again, and I'm trying to have the biggest and best adventures in the 360 ever to celebrate its big 20th birthday, it felt right, and I'm just hoping that the experience will live up to my memories of it. I know lots of you have tried to sort of recreate my video with the McLarens up the side of the volcano, and you've sent me photos or stories about how incredible it was, so I'm hoping that means it will be really good. But yeah, I'm just like, please. I'm sure it will be, I'm sure it will be. Anyway, for now, I think it's time to get some sleep, and I'll see you in the morning when hopefully it'll be the final day of this journey to Tenerife. I've got to be honest, coffee's pretty good. Good morning everybody. Day 2 on the ferry, day 4 of my adventure to Tenerife. I slept pretty well. I forgot to mention yesterday, this is what the ferry company calls an inside cabin. It's not the standard accommodation if you're getting the ferry to Tenerife. It's quite expensive, this. I think a return ticket for an inside cabin is about 900 euros. That's a lot, but the sort of lesser option is basically just a standard seat in one of the lounges. And in here I've got privacy, I've got security, I've got my own bed, I can have all my stuff with me, I've got my own TV. Whilst it's quite bad for my seasickness, last night, I was heaving. Because yeah, it rocks a lot in here. I sort of would justify the price because of all the things that I just mentioned. It's a lot, but there are ways that I think you can reduce that price a bit. Because actually, this is a 4-person cabin. You've got the 2 lower beds, but you've also got these upper bunk beds, which, if I pull down, there you go, mean that you can have 4 people in here, and that makes it 100 euros per person each way, which is still a lot, but a bit more reasonable than what I'm paying as a solo traveller, which is, yeah, close to 1,000 euros for this room. But as I mentioned, the beds were comfortable, get plenty of power sockets. I'm using this bed for all of the stuff that I brought in from the car. Got a nice work desk here. I had planned to do some editing there, but as I mentioned, my seasickness has been through the roof in this room, so no work has been done. And then here I bought my own snacks. So they do actually include breakfast, lunch and dinner with your ticket price. Drinks are not included, but it's not been fantastic, so I'm quite glad that I bought my own snacks, because yeah, the food's just been a lot of fried stuff, and yeah, anyway, not been a massive fan. This has almost justified the entire price. It's a proper working TV that not only has live TV, so I've been watching the F1 on that, win, but also it's got tons of movies. It's just like being on a plane, all the sort of latest films you could imagine, so that's great to have, as is this private bathroom with a fully working shower, which I've already used, toilet, sink, etc. So yeah, look, it's a lot of money, but for me personally, trying to film, wanting to have all my stuff with me, wanting to have a proper night's sleep in a bed, I could just about justify the price. Anyway, late last night I had a quick chat with one of the team who said that they were hoping to arrive at our first stop, which I think is Las Palmas in Gran Canaria, around 8 PM this evening. It's coming up to about 10:30. Got a Grand Prix to watch at lunchtime, so that will help pass the time. Then it all depends on how quickly those Gran Canaria passengers disembark, because then it's another 3.5 hours on to Tenerife. So it feels like, I'm hoping that we're going to arrive in Tenerife tonight. Feels like I might be quite late tonight. I don't care, just get me off this boat. can't quite believe I'm saying it, but we have finally arrived in Tenerife. I've lost track of what time it is. It's like 3 a.m. or something stupid. The car is absolutely caked in salt. This is why I came to Tenerife.